Greetings, Shining Bulls and Shining Bears, and welcome to the 35th episode of the Crypto Astrology podcast. Please note that financial astrology, similar to technical analysis, is not 100%. I, Maya Raghavan, am not an influencer. I am not a financial advisor. Rather, I am a financial astrologer, using the planetary positions as data inputs in my analysis of the probable nature of price movements. I do not make your decisions for you. Your decisions are up to you. Shining Bull content is here to stimulate your own thought process as you make your own decisions relating to your own finances for yourself and by yourself. We are going to take a look at what this week holds for Bitcoin and Ether price. Before though getting into the day-to-day regarding this week, here are the most important celestial factors that will be influencing us here on the Earth plane this week. Firstly, I see this as an important week. I see the trend of the week being up, but there are moments where there will be very deceptive price drops. So, this week, on Sunday, Budh, Mercury, will cross the Gandanta of Jeshta into the Gandanta of Mula, the center of our galaxy. This gets Mercury out of a trine to Rahu, so there is less noise, and more clarity starts entering into the picture. The next day, on Monday, Mangal, Mars, enters into trine to Devguru, Jupiter, which shows that something truly grand is being developed in the context of policy matters or the way that we are going to be going forward as a civilization. Also on Monday, Sun will enter into a Kendra to Rahu and Ketu. Sun is our leaders and Rahu and Ketu signify destiny. This shows that something powerful is in the hands of our leaders right now. Thursday's new moon is really interesting because after the new moon is degreically exact, Sun will join Moon in the next nakshatra of Uttarashadha, and this nakshatra deals specifically with institutions such as and including large financial players. So you can probably tell that I see this week as really important for the next step for our spot ETF approvals. Last week, like this past week, you may have noticed that Bitcoin broke through $45,000 US after the SEC had announced a final deadline to get paperwork in for the spot ETF filings. This week is going to be even bigger than that as I see it. Last week, as you know, predicted, I saw that even approval was likely last week itself, but instead of approval, we did get the next big step of the SEC telling these guys that they needed to get their final paperwork basically in. So one last thing is that before I get into the day-to-day is that on Friday, Shukracharya, Venus, starts trining Rahu. So I see that there is likely to be feelings of deep euphoria in general as Venus transits in Scorpio. Now, before we look at the day-to-day this week in Bitcoin and Ether price, I want to let you know that the Bitcoin 2024 predictions book is now available on ShiningBull.com. I recommend it. And the new book, ETH BTC 2024 Predictions for the Ratio, is also now available on ShiningBull.com. A new trading signal service is also now available, and you can check out the details for that on ShiningBull.com too. Now let's get into it. I, the astrologer, live in Newfoundland, but I give the weekly predictions that I make on this podcast as per UTC time. And just to let you know, I'm going to try and start putting tags for the different parts of this podcast in the description section, so you can easily come back throughout the week to check specific days and so on. But if I ever forget, then as we're forming for many years now, actually, we've been forming a community. But if I ever forget or don't get to it, any of you are welcome to put those timestamps in the comments if you ever feel like it, but I'll try and keep on top of it. So now, beginning Sunday, 7th January UTC. Mid-morning Sunday UTC, an unexpected price climb begins as Moon reaches Mercury's cuspal degree, who transits the Gandanta of Jyeshta. At night UTC, Moon enters the Virgo pada of Anuradha, and a minute later he enters into Shanidev Saturn's 10th Drishti, and I see an upward movement here. Monday, 8th January UTC. In the early morning UTC, Moon reaches Shanidev Saturn's exact 10th Drishti, initiating a drop. In the morning UTC before breakfast time, a drastic upward move begins as Moon reaches Devguru Jupiter's cuspal degree, who is 6th from the Moon at that moment. In the 6th, a sign from the Moon or house. Mid-morning UTC, Moon enters the Vargotama Scorpio pada of Anuradha, joining Sun in the D9, making an upward movement happen. In the early afternoon, during lunchtime UTC, a reversal initiates with a downward movement when Moon begins transiting with Shukracharya Venus. In the afternoon UTC, Moon enters Jyeshta, joining Shanidev Saturn and Shukracharya Venus in Sagittarius in the D9, making price increase. In the evening UTC, a price climb starts when Moon reaches Shukracharya. Tuesday, 9th January UTC. In the early morning UTC, an upward movement initiates as Moon enters Aquarius in the Navamsha, where Shanidev Saturn transits in the sky. Another up move should start not too long after breakfast time when Moon enters Pisces in the Navamsha, where Rahu transits in the sky. In the afternoon UTC, I see a deceptive price drop is likely to begin when Moon crosses into Sagittarius, immediately starting to transit with Budh, Mercury, in the Aries Navamsha. I see this drop reverse in about 3 hours. That's why I said it was deceptive. This is because in the evening UTC, a tricky moment occurs that looks like the initiation of a price climb after a serious drop. When Moon reaches Budh, Mercury. Wednesday, 10th January UTC. In the very early morning UTC, a critical turning point occurs, sending prices up when Moon enters the Gemini pada of Mula Nakshatra, joining Mars. Mars at this moment is at the exact degree of Shanidev Saturn, who transits 3rd from Mars, Mangal. Right now there's an interesting situation happening in the sky where Jupiter, Mars and Saturn are very close degree-wise, and there are special relationships between Jupiter and Mars too. So when planets are at the same degree or really close to the degree, anywhere in any sign, they are exerting a special influence on each other. And anyway, so basically, we're talking about Wednesday here. Basically, I see a series of upward movements for the rest of Wednesday UTC as Moon transits in a fascinating and changing relation to Jupiter and Mars. Thursday, 11th January UTC. In the early morning UTC, shortly after sunrise, Moon joins Sun in Scorpio in the Navamsha. This is a fascinating moment, but it's unclear to me if market participants will recognize its significance. Price drop starts here as I see it. Then in the afternoon, a little bit after the new moon has been degreically exact, Sun joins Moon in the first pada of Uttarashadha, marking the start of a new institutional process. This looks like the onset of a price climb due to significant investments being made. In the evening UTC, Moon enters Capricorn, joining Shukracharya Venus with Shanidev Saturn there in the Navamsha, leading to an upward movement which continues for the rest of Thursday UTC. Friday, 12th January UTC. In the morning UTC, Moon enters Shravana, showing a reversal in the price direction. Shortly after midday UTC, a significant price climb begins when Moon reaches an exact Kendra to Devguru Jupiter. This price climb is likely to be an important one. Saturday, 13th January UTC. Wow, we're already almost at Makar Sankranti or Pongal. So it's amazing how time flies. In the very early morning UTC, that's when Sun enters Capricorn and becomes very powerful. That happens mid-month. But anyway, I just saw the date and I realized how close we were to Sun's movement into into Capricorn. Anyway, in the very early morning UTC, climb begins when Moon enters the Cancer pada of Shravana, joining Mangal and Devguru in the D9 or Navamsha, which is an important mathematical division of the sky which shows us the future. Midday UTC, Moon enters the Virgo pada of Dhanishta, making an upward movement occur. In the evening UTC, I see another upward movement when Moon enters Aquarius. At night UTC, Moon enters the Scorpio pada of Dhanishta, continuing the upward trend. Please read the disclaimer in the details section of this video below. So that was the weekly forecast for the week ahead in Bitcoin and Ether price. And remember, the Bitcoin 2024 predictions book is available on ShiningBull.com, and I recommend it. And so is the book about the ETH-BTC ratio for any of you who trade the ratio or are particularly interested in the way that ETH will move in relation to Bitcoin price. So anyway, next, that's good to read in tandem with the Ethereum by 2026 book. And anyway, all right, so next, some news from the past week, which will impact the future of crypto and of civilization. Actually, I hope that this doesn't impact the future, but this one is really interesting. Okay, so listen up. Yesterday, when I'm recording this, so Friday, January 5th, 26.916799286 Bitcoins were transferred from a Binance wallet to Satoshi Nakamoto's wallet. That's the wallet that received the block reward when Bitcoin's Genesis block was mined, and that's why it's considered to be Satoshi's wallet. This transfer happened at 7 p.m. UTC. Just as a note, if you round the number to 27 of Bitcoin, 27 Bitcoins transferred, and then multiply 27 by 44,000, a price that Bitcoin passed on the 2-hour candle that followed this transaction, you get $1,188,000. The numbers 11, 11, and 8 are both related to Saturn. And in fact, Saturn, back to the astrology, Saturn was playing a role at this moment. Not the Saturn in the sky currently, but rather Binance's natal Saturn. At the moment of the transfer, Mercury was transiting right on Binance Exchange's natal Saturn, right on it. In the sky, Mars had just right then entered into the Gemini Pada of Mula Nakshatra, and Moon had just begun to oppose Jupiter in the sky. Binance's natal Mercury is powerful and works to solve problems in order to bring wealth to the exchange. I see that the wallet that sent this 26.91679286 bitcoins to Satoshi's wallet is not simply a Binance wallet, but rather a wallet affiliated with Binance itself in some way, and that this transaction was purposeful. It was done either as a type of signal from top Binance leadership, a signal, due to Mercury's placement second from Binance's very powerful natal sun, or it was done to hide something, to make something disappear in order to quickly solve a problem or something that was understood could be a future problem or detriment. I see this because of the movement of Mars into the Gemini Pada of Mula Nakshatra right as the transaction was made. This, as I see it, is likely related to the hunt that the United States has been carrying out against Binance. I'm not a technical person, but I believe that I think, if I understand correctly, that technically the history of the specific sats composing this transaction could, in a way, be tracked. What gives me, myself, Maya, goosebumps, is that at that moment, the same Mercury who transited Binance's natal Saturn was also in exact trine to Bitcoin's natal Mars. Not the Genesis block natal Mars, but rather the natal Mars of the chart I use, which is of the moment that the first pizza was bought using Bitcoin by a special person named Laszlo in Jacksonville, Florida. Anyway, all of this points to a deep relationship between Binance and some person or group which has been guiding Bitcoin to prominence in an unseen way on this earth plane. This is a story that is being hidden. That history, that relationship is being hidden by that transaction that happened just yesterday as I'm recording this, Friday, January 5th. I am just a simple astrologer, and I am not against Binance in any way. In fact, I like Binance, I like CZ, and this is me personally. And Maya personally hopes that they succeed. All of this is just simply what I see as an astrologer, but to me it looks quite clear indeed. So that was all for this week, and I will see you next week. Thank you.